Oh, Carl, happy season 2.
Season 2, baby, we did it a full year, and now we get to
Yeah.
do that thing on iTunes where we go, don't listen to the past year. This is it. This is our first episode.
Yeah.
We're repiloting.
It's great. You can go, you got to skip season 1 and then jump straight into season 2. Essentially, at the moment, this is the perfect show, and we're just ruining it the more we speak now.
Yeah, God bless it. It's exactly what you want. Is a show that's you're like, hey, you know that like 52 hours of content you guys did? Not good. Start from here. Skip that.
My name's Oscar.
My name is Carl, and this is
Who
Would Watch This?
Who would watch this?
Who would watch this?
Who would watch this? Welcome to Who Would Watch This, the podcast where we watch a film, talk about the film, and then try and figure out who would watch this.
Today we're talking about another M. Night Shyamalan masterpiece. We're talking about Lady in the Water. It currently has a 5.5 on IMDb, 25% on Rotten Tomatoes, and a 2.3 on Letterboxd. Oscar, what's this film about?
Fuck me dead, Carl. Okay, so let's get... I'll read you the IMDb one, and then we can kind of discuss if that's right. Apartment building superintendent Cleveland Heap, that's Paul Giamatti, rescues what he thinks is a young woman from a pool he maintains. When he discovers that she's actually a character from a bedtime story who is trying to make a journey back to her home, he works with his tenants to protect her new friend from the creature that are determined to keep her in our world.
Yes. What's a more ridiculous name? California... What was his name? California...
Cleveland Heap.
What's more ridiculous, Cleveland Heap or Paul Giamatti? I think they're both on the same playing field.
You piece of shit. Paul Giamatti's a gorgeous name, but it doesn't look like... He looks like a Paul. The second name's a bit rogue, though. He does not deserve that last name. He's definitely a Paul, though.
Oh, Mr. Paul Giamatti. I feel bad. We're welcoming him onto the podcast for the first time.
Yeah, I mean, I
thought he was above
great.
this. Thought he would have been able to dodge us, but apparently not. M. Night Shyamalan got him, brought him in.
Got him, grabbed him, threw him down the neck. There's a few that he got in, like, before this. He had, like, Joaquin Phoenix. See, like, we were talking about the other day, like, The Visit has, like, a disgustingly good cast.
Oh, The Village, yeah. Yeah. What's it called? Even, like, Jared Harris, before he's big, is, like, a bit player in this film. Wild. Jeffrey Wright, who's on the rise. Like, you've got, like, lots and lots of people that are in this. A-grade actor M. Night Shyamalan is in this, too, with a pivotal role.
He definitely performs. He's definitely in the film. That's correct.
All right, Oscar. Well, before we continue, shall we go back in time to when we hadn't seen the film and tried to predict who we thought would watch it? All right, Oscar. I'm back, trapped in my little cave for recording because we're
where you should be. Yes, that's good.
I know you're out of lockdown. I'm not.
We're both in the exact same situation. You just chose to build a tent. I didn't.
I live in a loud environment. I need a tent to record in. There are.
I live in a big valley with soundproofing around it, so I'm perfect. You live in like a zoo.
I live in one of those like those Italian places where everybody has a balcony and they're all living a separate life on those balcony, yelling at each other or playing music. People trying to use saxophone to try and cheer everybody up. Nobody wants to get into your fucking music. Leave us be. I want to sleep. I'm in a deep depression. I can't leave the house.
Imagine a fun Italian movie where everyone's like playing the saxophone, getting up. You're like, guys, I'm trying to record a podcast. Can we keep the volume down? Don't be a buzzkill, but it's getting views.
Antonio, I didn't complain when you loudly made that sourdough the other day. Cut me some slack and let me record my podcast.
Your sourdough starter is making a fucking racket and you need to turn it down, buddy.
I heard you turn that sourdough starter over twice yesterday. Loudly you flipped it. I hope it's dead.
All right, Lady in the Water. This is our second M. Night Shyamalan film
Third
of the month. Third?
Yeah, third.
What did we do
We
before?
did Last Airbender.
Yes, I
and The
can't
Happening.
count. That's right. I can't count. I'll just end it though. It's fine. You can lead the now. So it shows I can't do maths. So what else can't I do?
This is exciting. Because finally we've got one that I have not seen before.
Very exciting. I've seen little bits of it. I remember being like, that was strange. All I remember is that there's a critic in here that makes a little monologue, and I remember Paul Giamatti's in it, but that's about it.
Yeah,
I don't remember much.
I remember the trailer and I remember the poster. Has that really striking blue poster with just like
It's a
her
nice
face.
poster. You can't say no to the poster.
Yeah.
Didn't know that was Bryce Dallas Howard. I thought that was Eddie Redmayne. So here we are.
If you just put blue over the Danish girl poster, same film.
Same film and poster.
Well, I haven't seen it before, and I don't actually know the plot other than the fact that it takes place at like an apartment complex, and one night there's a lady in the water, so it really lives up to its title. But I have no idea what to expect.
It's pretty. I mean, it gets lumped in with his sort of like. He had like 5 films in the middle of his career which have been bad stinkers, and I think this is like the first one where it's like, oh, okay, you're not a genius, are you?
It's weird that he wants to make a family film, right? At this point in his career.
I think he must have had kids at some point, because I think the Last Airbender, I think he was also like, yeah, I'm making it for kids as well.
Yeah, I think it's weird to me that he would ever stray off the trajectory of him doing adult drama horror films. So,
But here we are, Lady in the Water. Because it's not like a horror film, it's not a kid's film, it's like a storybook movie. I've never heard that genre, so...
I mean, you've only got one, which is, Princess Diaries? No, Princess Bride. That's just a
Yes.
story.
Oh, and Adam Sandler's bedtime story, so...
the cream of the crop. Adam Sandler's bedtime stories. Russell Brand is his friend, and he has a pet hamster.
Give that man $200 million.
Who do we think this is for then? Who would watch this?
If you're a big fan of watching a critic do something, well, this is your film for you. I don't know much about the film, so I can't really jump on it. I can't dig at it.
God, I guess if you've ever wanted a family film made by a Oscar-nominated horror director, this is for you.
Yeah,
I
guess if
in my head, this is like going to be a PG version of The Shape of Water. Somebody falls in love with a fish person.
This is, I guess so. The Lady of the Water. If you're what's his name?
Del Toro.
Yeah, if you're him, watch this. Who this is for? You watch this and go, all right, maybe I can do my little Shape of Water movie, and maybe it can get a little Oscar.
This is for a young Del Toro that is like, I haven't got an idea, but I bet I could improve somebody else's idea. This is it. As somebody that doesn't like The Shape of Water, perhaps I just don't like fish films.
Maybe you're a little fishist, and it's a bit fucked up, really. Carl,
I
honestly.
like Finding Nemo. I hate Finding Dory. That's where I'm at.
Okay, well, there's probably a correlation there.
We can touch on that outside of the podcast. This is a troubling matter
Yeah.
that we've discovered.
It's pretty fucked up, I'll say it right now, and quite frankly.
Yeah, well, you
this
know I feel
continues.
upset about it, okay? And I'm disappointed you brought it up on the
Well,
podcast
fuck
at all.
you,
Okay,
piece of shit.
okay, yeah, whatever.
There's
All right.
one thing in this podcast. All right,
I got abused by a fish once when I went into the ocean. I walked out, there was a starfish up my ass. There you go, that's what happened. Are you happy? Are you happy it's on the podcast and recorded to everybody? That's why I don't respect them. We don't have to talk about it. That's it. That's the end of the segment.
I'm glad we haven't talked about it.
So really quickly, I just want to point out as to where M. Night Shyamalan is at the point in his career at the moment. Right? So he's made The Sixth Sense, so he's made $672 million off of that. He's made Unbreakable, $250 million. He's made Signs, $408 million. And he's made The Village, $250 million. So over the course of 5 years, his global total is $1.586 billion.
Jesus Christ.
So, big director. This is the sixth film, essentially. So he's coming off of only huge hits.
But what happens, Carl? What was the budget for this, and how much money did it make?
Not a hit. I don't. What is it? This is something ridiculous, isn't it? This budget.
It's $70 million. It's all one location, really. It's one location.
Do we know why it cost this much?
I mean, do you know So it's all set like in a big apartment complex.
Yeah.
With a pool in the middle. That's literally the whole film. Now I'm actually saying it. That's insane. And they built that apartment because M. Night Shyamalan wanted to film in Philadelphia, I think.
Yeah.
And didn't want to, and they just made it. $70 million.
I've never been to Philadelphia myself, but surely there's apartment complexes like this around. Surely.
Well, there's like stuff in America. I think like in Miami and like places like that.
I know he doesn't like to leave the city because he wants to support the city in terms of crews and stuff like that, and making sure
he
that
fucking supported them. He built an entire.
He basically was like, "Hey, city, have $70 million." There's like I'm literally looking out from my apartment at places that have the exact same fucking look. I could shoot Lady in the Water at most places in Sydney.
I mean, you do have Paul Giamatti on call, so
I do.
Really,
I do. The Paulie G, as I like to call him, big fan of the podcast.
As we all do.
Yeah, absolutely. He sulks around at these sorts of places all the time. I'm not even sure he was aware he was being recorded. I don't think he was hired for anything. I think he's just here.
This is kind of his natural habitat. Well, let's get into the Lady of the Water. So we're introduced. We've got this intro which kind of tries to explain the story. I'll say it right now. That summary of the plot does not do it justice. This film is so convoluted.
Oh my god, yeah. So if you want to, so the whole movie begins with narration and sketches in terms of all the fantasy elements and the lore of the film. I couldn't follow any of it. Oscar, do you want to have a go at explaining it to people?
Oh, I'm absolutely bugged. See, I was playing with the subtitle settings because I couldn't read it and I missed it. So I threw it to you. So we both don't know what's going on.
So I listened a little. I have no idea. I don't know what there's like scrogs.
This is why you come to the podcast with these hard-hitting facts, you know. Did we watch it? No, we didn't watch it.
Pretty much. There's scrogs, hogs, and logs. And then there's a lady in the water. Like, that's pretty much what it is. Like, it's all based off of a fairy tale he used to tell his kids that he made up on the spot. And it fucking comes off like that.
It sounds it. I mean, we're gonna jump into it, but like the main guy's called a narf and the villain's called a scrunt. Anyway, so we're introduced
is that what
to
the
Paul
words
Giamatti.
are? I thought I nailed them with mine. I prefer my words.
No. But there were a bunch of other ones just to confuse you. Like that's how a story is told. Like here's a bunch of other stuff.
Most of the conflict in the film is just people not knowing the story. It's them just being like, oh, so the Scrog and the Korg are going to marry each other, right? And
No. The blump and the jump are gonna go for a nump. You gotta get into it.
I love
Dr.
that it's
Seuss
like,
gets
yeah,
me.
I was about to be like, we're just doing Dr. Seuss references. I love the idea that it's like one night he's in the pool and the Cat in the Hat comes out, and it's just that same film, but he protects the Cat in the Hat. He's like,
He does.
Thing 1 and Thing 2 are in the forest and they're coming for you. You're going to be collected
They're gonna eat me with a green egg and ham. Let me tell you that now.
A Lorax
okay,
needs
so
to
we're
pick me up and fly away with me at the end of the film. Danny DeVito.
The Grinch.
The Grinch, yeah.
Okay, so Paul Giamatti is the housekeeper of the entire apartment complex. We're introduced to him in a very normal way. He's under the sink trying to kill a rat. This goes on for 2 minutes.
I thought this was a pretty funny opening. I think he's playing it fine. It probably does go on for too long, but I don't know. I thought it was like, I think they're trying to set up a tone that's like, this is playful, kind of. Like, I don't see the value of this opening scene other than trying to set up the tone.
Okay, I think the tone's it's strange, so it sets the tone up quite well.
I think it is inconsistent, but like, I don't know. It's like the opening scene's like, I want to establish he has a stutter, and I want to establish it takes him ages to kill a rat. Like,
oh, it's upsetting. The stutter is upsetting. It's not like and Paul Giamatti is a good actor. There's no question about that. this stutter is like, I'm poisoned. It's like, oh no.
You
That's
know
the
who does
whole
a great
film.
stutter? The kid in the It film. That kid knows how to do a stutter. That was
Take notes, Paul.
yeah. Call up
Wait 15
Jaden
years and then
Martell.
take.
That's right. I know the
What's
actor.
that? He's an imp. Also, his phone number, very strange. Okay, so we're introduced. So Paul Giamatti's like, all right, killed the rat. I now need to go introduce a new tenant. He's a film critic, and he's like, all right, let's show you around the apartment block like you would. Let's introduce you to all the colorful characters.
He's like, this is Bicep Man. Say hi to Bicep Man. Bicep Man's like, look at my bicep. And he's like, that was a fun interaction between us and Bicep Man.
He only works out half his body. Now, for the listener at home, we had to be very detailed with every single character, because I shit you not, every single character has a role in the film. And that might sound like good characterization, but it's not, because they're just kind of grouped in at the end.
They all have a role, none of them have an arc. That's the thing. They're all caricatures that play into, I guess, the end, but like they don't.
It's like they're all a piece of cake, and you need 10 pieces of cake to make a cake, but the cake's made out of cardboard.
I agree with the analogy, but I would compare it to a pie. I want that on record.
Well, this is the fun, witty banter back and forth. You know, that's why you stick around for us.
I compare it to the sun. You can't eat that, Oscar. You fucking idiot.
You burn the roof of your mouth, and I can't disagree with that.
We meet the critic guy who's like, I've been flown in to be the critic for the town. What?
Insane. No one would even fly out. No one. If we're so low level critics, we wouldn't call ourselves that. But technically, that's what we do.
I am not a critic. I want that on record. I don't think I've
I'm
said
a professional critic. So
yeah, you're verified on Rotten Tomatoes. I eat out of the trash can like any other critic. That's where we're at. I would never ever. I don't think my opinion's valid on anything ever, and I wouldn't expect anybody to trust me on anything ever. That's where we're at.
But that's where we're at, and I think we're more qualified than him if this town has employed him, because it's just the apartment complex. So I don't know who's running the local newspaper.
No, absolutely not. Where's this side of the story? I want to see how the local newspaper works. I'd love it if his whole backstory is basically just like the movie The Post, and he's just living this whole other adventure with conspiracies and Watergate, all of the things.
Meryl Streep's in that one. Oh, I'd love to see it.
So yeah, we meet him. We meet Silent Man in a chair. We meet the Stoner Boys.
Yep.
Who?
Which one of them is like the guy from Chernobyl?
Yeah, Jared Harris. It's Jared Harris.
Yeah.
Jared Harris is
Yeah.
in this. Guys,
We love
Jared
Jared
Harris. He's Moriarty in those Guy Ritchie Sherlock Holmes films. It's Jared Harris.
He's a creepy Russian guy in Happiness. Oh, we love to see him. So that's him. So he's got a group of stoner friends. We also have the nerd from the Hunger Games. He does crosswords.
A little bit of Jeffrey Wright.
These
for
might sound
everybody.
like really.
So the setup,
God you know the names, 'cause
the setup so far is like, it's basically like, hey, what if there was a fantastical element to like the Florida Project?
That's what I got the vibe. It'd be upsetting if Sean, what's his last name? I can't remember his name. Is Sean
Baker.
something. Yeah, Sean Baker was like, "Oh, love what you've done with the Lady of the Water. Let's just get rid of all that and make it real depressing." Next to Disneyland.
I love that
baby.
he was just watching and he was like, okay, what if Paul Giamatti was William Dafoe? And what if a Snorg was a pedophile? And what if a Korg was the American disassociation between capitalism and how they leave people behind?
And what if the pool was Disneyland? See, we can both do analogies here. We're both equally clever.
Do you know why we're both good at analogies? Because we're critics.
We're critical of our critical skills.
Let me put my little critical glasses on, shall I? Now I'm ready to criticize the film.
If we sound bitter, it's because M. Night Shyamalan has absolutely destroyed us by perfectly.
I'm offended.
Capturing...
That's what I want to put out there. I'm fucking
exactly.
offended.
I want you to. We both look exactly like a small man with little big glasses, and we go.
I kept on yelling at the screen, going, "I get it. It's me. I get it. All right? Yes, I get it. It's me. Yeah, we're not looking into this character's sex life. I get it. It's me. Like, ugh, every single time. I was like, you don't have to personally attack me. I mean, this is barely before I'm born. Like,
All right, so
there's one more that I think we should just bring it in now because we're talking about all the characters that are in this complex. M. Night Shyamalan is in this film.
he is, and he's a writer, and he lives with his sister.
He's an integral role.
Yeah, very upsetting. Okay, so in the middle of the complex is a pool. In this pool, someone's splashing about. Turns out, and we're about 10 minutes in, Paul Giamatti just sees Bryce Dallas Howard flopping about in the pool.
Yeah. What does she take? His knife?
She takes like a cup or something, and he's like, "Hey, what's up with that?" He then falls in the pool, gets out the pool, lies down on the ground, and then falls back in the pool. And then does she save him?
Yeah, she saves him for some reason, but I don't understand how he got in trouble in a pool.
No, but he got in trouble twice. He got in, got out, and then got in.
It's not very large, but it's like the kiddie pool. Like, it's only about 4 inches of water. I'm surprised he nearly drowned in it.
Yeah, he almost banged his head, honestly.
I loved how they get the pool guy in who's like, there's just a ton of slime in this pool, and I cleaned it yesterday. Why is it like this? Paul Giamatti's like, I don't know why there's slime in it. And the guy's like, I'm going to say, I don't believe you. I think you know why there's slime in here, you disgusting fuck of a man.
He rubs it on his face. You're like, it's your semen, isn't it, Paul? It's your semen. Us pool boys know what semen and slime is, okay? We know the difference.
I spend my days going from pool to pool in the Philadelphia area, having to get all the slimy semen out of the pool, all right? And you're not helping, Paul. Or should I say Cleveland, or whatever your fucking name is.
Cleveland Heap. Yeah, those pool boys have to suck it out with their mouths, and I can tell you now, slime or cum, it's a difference.
So we get to meet Bryce Dallas Howard for the first time.
Yes, she's wounded, I think, and Paul Giamatti's like, all right, let me take you into the house. As they take her into the house, they then start cuddling, and it's quite upsetting, don't you reckon?
How old is she supposed to be in this?
Let's say mythical and an age and a thing, because if we jump into that, Paul, like, as of, like, she's a wounded animal, and he's pretty much just, like not spooning, but, like carrying her like a baby. It's quite upsetting.
I think it's weird. I don't understand. Is she meant to be, like, a mermaid?
Something like that. They talk about, like...
But how'd she get there? Why is she in the pool? Has she been there the entire time?
She's living in the pool, and then in, like, the pool grate system is, like, a big cave system. Sorry.
How'd that cave system get there? Shouldn't it go to a pipe? Like, it should just go to a small pipe.
Carl, I don't think you know how pools work. See, I'm a critic and a pool boy. I know semen, tunnels, and criticizing films. There's big tunnels under all pools.
Because one of the things I think the movie does is it's like, look at the critic point out all the things that are, like, wrong with this film. So now you as a critic can't make fun of it because I myself have pointed them out. And it's like, well, you just don't even understand how a pool functions in this movie. This isn't how a pool. It's one of the simple things. If you're gonna ask people to spend $70 million building a fake apartment complex with a pool,
you gotta get the pool mechanics right.
I just wrote the guy's made $1.5 billion at the box office. He's probably made like tens of millions of dollars of profit from that. The man owns a fucking pool. Swim in your own pool and work it out. All right.
No, he tried that, Carl. He was writing, got in the pool, got wet, had to restart. You forget what you've remembered. It's very simple stuff. You would understand if you were a critic.
Clearly, just like the guy clearly just like dropped acid and then treated his pool boy like Bryce Dallas Howard for 90 minutes. That's clearly what this is based off. And he's gone, oh, it's a sweet tale from my kids. And I'm like, mate, you hurt your pool boy. That's what it comes off as.
Would a child want to watch this film? I mean,
this would bore the shit out of me if
very
I was
boring.
A child. Yeah,
like I've kind of realized it is just one location. It's like, and it's shot kind of nice, but like again, still just one location.
I'll throw out some compliments. I think it is shot nice, and I think the atmosphere that it builds is pretty good and effective. I think there's ingredients here to be a good film. It needs somebody to say no to a lot of the ideas in it. It's genuinely so weirdly convoluted for what is supposed to be a kid's family affair.
Yeah,
and it's also like so adult. One of the things I wrote was why aren't kids the main characters? If this is supposed to be
it's
for
mythical
kids.
and magical. Which child wants to see Paul Giamatti? No offense to Paul Giamatti, but he's the most adult-looking man I've ever seen. I don't think any children can relate to him.
It's as a child, you just look at him and you'd be like, man, I'm never gonna be that old. That's what he looks like. It's like if for some reason Paul Giamatti was in the Spiderwick Chronicles, or if Paul Giamatti played 11 on Stranger Things. It wouldn't make sense.
Just so we know, he would nail those roles, but he plays a villain.
He'd be great. He's so good. He'd be great. He's a great actor.
He's half his hair's gone. He's almost there, but he nailed Big Fat Liar. But he's an old businessman in that.
God, Big Fat Liar is a slapping good film. A great time.
Absolutely. Yeah,
that's
a good time.
That was a good time. But yeah, I don't know who this is for. One of the things is the fact that he left Disney over this project.
Really? Wait, who left? Paul or M. Night?
So M. Night's other 4 films were all distributed by Disney. And huge money makers for Disney. He was like a golden child director at Disney. And frankly, they all read this script and they went, this is not very good, and we don't get it. And he was offended, and so he left, and I think Warner Brothers or something snapped him up because high-profile director leaves the studio he's been working with, who wouldn't want him. Because one of the things he said was he didn't want to make any changes to the script, apparently. He was like, you guys don't appreciate vision, you don't want to blah, blah, blah. So clearly there's other studios gone, we'll make it, and we won't give you any notes if you just continue to make films with us for an elongated amount of time.
That is insane. It's almost courageous to spend $70 million and essentially a blank check. You can that's a filmmaker's wet dream. That's like so much money, and you can do anything with that. I cannot believe he made this film.
Yeah, I think it's wild that I think for a long time he wanted to make a sequel to Unbreakable, and then was just like, oh, it takes ages and ages sort of thing, and that's until Split and Glass happened. And I'm like, really? It sounds like you got a blank check to do whatever the fuck you want, and you still went, I want to make Lady in the Water.
Yeah, this is it's upsetting. It's just messy because we'll go through the plot. So essentially, we met all the characters. Paul Giamatti's turned up, and we've got Bryce Dallas Howard. She's like a mermaid, sort of struggling.
What's Bryce Dallas Howard's character's name in this film?
Oh fuck, it's bad. It's the finder a place of like I don't think it's a name. Her name's Story.
Yeah, what the fuck? What the fuck is this? Her name is Story, and she is the main character from my bedtime story. Oh, fuck off.
It's like music being called music.
So one of the things that M. Night Shyamalan thought was this was like a basically unknown actress, and when he went to hire her, the agent demanded $1 million for her to be in the film.
I mean, she sells it. I mean, she sells a position. How much did she end up making then?
So the base salary you would get for a role like that for SAG, underneath SAG is $65,000 for a role like that. And they negotiated her up to $100,000. So pretty good for her.
That's pretty decent. 35 extra grand. That's a good. I'll give it good negotiating skills. So yeah, she. I'm not sure. Her name's like Young Sun, I think. I can't remember, but her and she's like kind of giving Paul Giamatti all the sort of like, well, it's just a bedtime story I got told as a kid, but essentially a Narf has Scrunts hunt the Narfs, and the Narfs are like the magical creatures in the Blue Lagoon. It's very simple stuff. My mum knows a lot more stuff though. You should ask her.
It's one of those things where it's like, you'd be reading over the script and you'd be like, why do we need somebody to like translate for the mum? Why can't the mum just be the character that you go to for the information? Is it just so it staggers out ridiculously? Like basically the entire like mythos of these characters is spread out in like 3 sentences every 10 minutes until the end of the film. Like they're still learning about the mythos by the time the movie wraps up.
Yeah, it's really up. They keep just like bleeding little bits of, but we kind of get the gist that she's magical. People want to hunt her. She needs to like flee. We get that by like 20 minutes in.
Because it's really not that confusing a mythology. It's just really convoluted with so many names and weird shit in it.
So much stuff.
I don't know who I don't know why you need a guardian and a seeker and a reader and a beater and a leader
I've tried to write them down. So we need an interpreter. So essentially this magical lady story, Bryce Dallas Howard,
the lady in the water.
Lady in the water goes, all right, my point on Earth is to inspire someone who's a writer. They will then write something that will change the world because the young president will read it and then will redefine the world. Then Paul Giamatti's like, all right, cool, I need to find a writer. So that's his thing. On top of that, they need to find an interpreter, the 5 people to be in the guild, healer, 2 witnesses, and a medium. There's 6 things.
Sounds like Scientology.
It does, and it is. It's a nice metaphor for it.
One of the things that is the reason it's like this with the critic is the fact that it's like, you need to find a writer that's going to inspire the world. And he's like, well, I know one of the writers, and that's the movie critic. And the whole thing is, it's like, a critic would never inspire the world. It's somebody that's writing from passion and heart.
Exactly. And the critic says, well, I bet the witness is that guy, and I bet the guild is that guy. And it turns out they're all wrong, but they're people that are slightly different, and they don't get a reason why they're that or who they are. But essentially, every single character we've been introduced to has a role. So half of them get the role at the start, and then by the end of the film, the other half get their roles.
Yeah,
and the critic.
So they're like, these are all the decoys who don't have a role, but we've been told to have a role, and these are all the people that we thought didn't have a role but do have a role. Considering that's like your first half and second half of a $70 million film, doesn't sound that interesting to me.
No, a matter of fact, most of it's just introducing pretty bland characters. When one of their like just unique things of one of the characters is, I'm working out half my body, so I'm the only guy that's done that. That's pretty much the most interesting person I can remember.
Yeah, he's somebody that like I feel like was at the beginning of the film and then didn't return until the last few minutes.
Exactly. Did that actor actually do that? Because that's such a cruel thing to do to a person.
Maybe he already was that.
Oh, true. I mean, like, listen, you've got like most acting jobs you won't get, but that one job, he nailed that.
I know. So they're looking for a writer. We meet M. Night Shyamalan. He's doing laundry. He's really mean to his sister the entire film.
He goes for a hit, right?
Yeah, there's a part where he goes to be like, I'm going to smack you.
Like throws it, and she like flinches like it's a common thing. Really upsetting. And he's like, don't worry, my words will change the world.
He's like, I'm allowed to be a drunken, abusive writer because I'm talented, apparently. Yeah, so anyway, he's writing a book, and there's this whole, like... This is, like, something where it's like, you could easily cut this for time. It's like, Paul Giamatti's like, really? You're writing a book? Let me go fix something in your apartment. Goes up to the apartment, looks at the book. Turns out that it's just a cookbook. Goes back down to talk to them. Then there's a throwaway line like, M. Night Shyamalan, you can't cook. And Paul Giamatti's like, wait a minute, you can't cook? And he's like, no, I can't cook. And then it's like, but you've been writing a cookbook. And he's like, no, I haven't been writing a cookbook. It's just a collection of thoughts. And he's like, well, then you are the writer. And it's like, well, why didn't he just have a book? Why do I have to make all the...
You've sped it up. But there's when he says, oh, I can't cook, there's like 8 seconds. I know that's nitpicky of just him, Paul Giamatti, walking out the room, pausing, and then walking back in. And it's so upsettingly cruel.
He leaves, comes back, and is like, and it's just like, you can't cook? You can't cook?
Well. Okay.
I would have loved it for like a Remy to be like, but anybody can cook.
M. Night Shyamalan's wearing a big hat. The rat writes the book. He's the real the writer.
I love the idea that he's writing a book and there's a rat controlling his hair for it. Oh no, he kills a rat at the beginning of the film.
Oh no.
Oh no.
Fuck. Oh,
Remy.
he was not a Remy.
No.
Oh, Ratatouille.
Shame. Big shame for Ratatouille. God, Ratatouille's good. Should we watch Ratatouille instead of continuing
We
the
should.
podcast?
It should be a yeah. Let's just watch a bit of Ratatouille every week. Not record our thoughts.
All right, so we can go. I'll tell you what. There's very little lady in the water in this film. It's mostly a
pretty
Paul
much.
Giamatti film.
If I was advertised, that'd be much happier. But yeah, Bryce Dallas Howard, she's in her Paul's room. She tries to go out, but then the evil grass dog attacks her, a snarf, if you will. Then she's back in the room in the shower for most of it.
Yep.
And then
they constantly just bring people in to chat with her in the shower. It's weird.
It's a bit upsetting. And they're like, no, the boys can't go in, but this random stranger who's a woman, she'll chat to you. They also do this weird sign language thing where like they pull
Can she
each
not
other's hair.
talk? Because she can talk.
She can talk.
Then why does she need to do sign language?
I don't know.
I don't understand why she couldn't talk at that point. It's the part where she get scratched and they're like, oh, you know what'll save her? Mud. What?
Mud. Oh fuck! That was the part of the movie I just was so angry at. Like that, there's like the Asian lady just dumps like a good 5 minutes of just like the eagle has to save the mud, and I was just so overloaded. I was like, which child would want to watch this?
I know, because then there's about 9 minutes of Paul Giamatti swimming down to where the lady in the water lives, and it looks like he's going to like an anal canal. Like, it's like a hot red, and he's like, look at all this gunk in here, like,
Imagine
knives.
Paul Giamatti's bald head squeezing through a sphincter and
God.
just getting through. Then he just starts grabbing rocks and shit. What is this scene? What's the rock for?
Because then he wipes this on her, doesn't he?
God, is it just like a paracetamol in their language?
Could you imagine? I need a Nurofen. Oh, it's in the pool. Okay.
What is it? It's a glowing sapphire rock. You can't miss it. It's under a glass. Fuck me dead.
Oh, God. So then we also find out that like there's an eagle that's going to come back for her and stuff like that. Like there's a thing, because I watched this in 2 sittings. I watched some of it yesterday and some of it today.
Me too.
And I stopped it and I wasn't sure what was going on, but he's sitting on a couch eating for a long amount of time and drinking milk and eating biscuits and then just lying down.
Yes, so I think the older Asian lady is like, you have to get in touch with your childlike side. So then he's trying to like I don't know, it doesn't really come back in, but I think like the whole point is like, don't be snarky and critical, just be like a free-flowing child, you know, man, just like have no inhibitions. It's upsetting, isn't it? They made Paul Giamatti. He has like milk under his mustache. He's eating.
Oh my God,
cookies.
there's milk flowing out of his face and crumbs all over his belly. And then he's just like laying around like a dog rubbing in dirt on the couch. I was like,
crazy.
What is
You
happening?
woke up this crazy. You woke up this morning, pressed play on the TV, and that's what you were awoken to.
Well, I thought it was even weirder because it's basically what I was doing while watching that segment of the film. I was like, oh, I'm mocked again. I get it. I'm the critic and I'm this fucking guy too, aren't I? Look at me.
So I like a warm milk and crumbs in my fucking belly. Sue me, M. Night, you piece of shit.
And then I nuzzled into the couch further and further.
That's funny, because I actually turned into the Lady of the Water and swam around a bit. But that's didn't felt very critiquey. That was more of a, an ally sort of thing. Then there's a party. This is also, again,
Where did this
$70
party
million.
come from? When did this party
It
come
seems
from?
like the lamest party. Paul Giamatti in this empty complex is like, we're having a party. Would you ever go to a house, like an apartment complex party? That'd be the lamest thing ever. And it's like an absolute rager. But it's not a rager, because the film cost $70 million. So it's like 50 people and 3 balloons.
Nobody's getting in the pool either. Like, the critics walking around being like, this is pretty neat. I like this. This is a lot of fun. And then
No,
Paul
I found it because he thinks the party's for him.
Oh, that's funny.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Great film.
The other thing is that like Paul Giamatti keeps on being like, "Hey, you watched a film? Have you been here yet?" And he keeps on being like, "No, haven't seen one. Might see a rom-com later. Not my thing."
I'm dreading it, and my God, we could not relate more. He was like, "Oh, I'm watching a shit film I don't want to watch. I do not want to do it, but it's my job." And somehow we relate. I don't know how he's captured it.
Yeah, he has. He's nailed us. So I thought something interesting was going to happen at this pool party. Like this was maybe the climax of the film, but it's not.
No, it's very upsetting, isn't it?
This film doesn't have a climax.
No. Well, you'd think there'd be more information, and pretty much the spiritual guide's like, hey, there's actually such a thing as a Madam Narf, and that's pretty much the coolest Narf of them all, and it's Bryce Dallas Howard. So that's there's no changes to it. Yep. So everything, everyone's got their original characters. Paul Giamatti's like, this isn't right. All right, everyone regroup. Let's distribute the characters. And they're like, all right. They're like, all right, I think we nailed it. And now now that everyone's in their right positions.
Yeah. Do we want to explain what happens to the critic while they're all rearranging?
Yes. So the critic is lurking around the alleys like we do on most days. So
I don't know where he's gone to a random floor and been like, is there a toilet here? And I'm like, you live in the complex. Go to your own room and piss. Like, what?
Piss in the pool. You can't criticize a critic.
It's the absolute dream to be at a party and then go to your own private bathroom that's yours in the middle of it and then return.
That seems that seems lovely, isn't it? Because no one can really use yours because you can lock it up.
Yeah, and he's not utilizing that. I never want to use a bathroom at a party. They're not fun.
Imagine being near your house and going, God, I gotta find a public restroom to shit in. No! You've got the comfort and safety of your own home. This critic is a bad critic.
30 stairs between you and a bathroom, and you've taken more steps to go down a dingy, dark alley.
Anyway, he rightfully so gets eaten, but before he gets eaten, man, and we haven't really touched on it, but this film is... I wouldn't say self-aware, but what's the opposite of that?
I don't know. It's this weird thing where it's self-aware about some other things, and then wants you to take things deadly serious on some of the other stuff. It's odd. So it's an odd combination.
The critic walks out and is like, oh no, an evil person. Well, I am a hated character in this story, so I should be eaten. However, it's the third act and no one's been attacked, so don't worry, I will not be saved. Ha ha ha. You see, the annoying character always gets his comeuppance. That's my character arc, and then gets eaten.
Yeah. He's like, oh, but we would, he was like, and I'd be redeemed, and then I'd say something witty at the end, and everybody would like me, and he's like, now I'm going to turn and run, and then he just gets killed. And the thing that I think's weird about it is he's the only person to die in the entire film.
It is kind of funny, and I think it could work in
I think it's funny,
but it's just such a shame because it's in such a very serious film.
And it's at a point where it's really oddly inserted into the movie. In fact, this is where it is. It's the fact that the critic, I think, is written to be self-aware, and not many of the other characters are. And so everything the critic does is done self-aware to make fun of everything going on around critic culture and the film itself and stuff like that. But also it actually, to me, has no place in the film at all.
No, it's pretty upsetting. He could have been just a writer and been a bit of a pretentious writer, and that would have been fine. Because it's kind of oh, you got to write for, I don't know, yourself. It's kind of shitty a message, but don't have... Anyway.
I would have loved it if he flat out was if he even went more referential and was like, hey, how was your new movie? And he was like, good, it was called Signs, and just
and I loved it.
Dug into it.
Okay, so so now the snarf has been eaten by some twig people. I don't know.
Yeah, who are the twig people? Are they also
no
villains?
Clue.
Where's the eagle going to take this woman? Why is the eagle taking her away from water?
I don't know. I feel like I thought the water was a safe spot. Maybe it was just a home.
That's what I thought.
Why
was she there? Where'd she come from? Was she born there? Why'd she end up there?
I guess so.
You know what the other thing is? I thought this apartment complex was in the city, but it goes out onto the edge of a fucking forest.
Yeah, it's just in the middle of like a field, and it's just this massive complex.
But
that's obviously cheap land.
But when the guy comes in, there's a city happening behind him. But at night, you can't hear any of the city. So where is this?
I've no clue. I don't get and it also it kind of makes it feel like a dream because it feels like all the exact characters fit into the story, which isn't really how things work.
Which is fine because it's trying to be like this bedtime story, but it's just not particularly interesting or entertaining. It's so convoluted. I don't get who or what this is or why it's happening or why you've cast these people.
Here's the thing. You can maybe leave a bit oh, it's mysterious, but M. Night Shyamalan does some of the worst directing choices I've ever seen in my life. He inserts himself into the film, and pretty much Bryce Dallas Howard, before she leaves, she goes, "One day you're going to write a book, and this book is going to change the world. A young boy's going to read it, and he's going to become president, and then he's going to change the world. You're going to be ridiculed and mocked because of your free-thinking ideas, but don't worry. Just know you're the smartest, greatest person ever."
Which is, had the character not been played by M. Night Shyamalan, is I think an interesting message to convey in a children's movie that's you might get ridiculed and blah, 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 but these thoughts and what you have could inspire anybody at any time, anywhere. A very nice, interesting message, but it's all bogged down from a very egotistical choice to just cast the writer-director as the inspirational writer. It's
also
such an
have
odd
someone
move.
in the film be and also have someone in the film be a critic. It's we can see it. I don't know. So upsetting. And
Whose idea was it to cast M. Night? Do you reckon it was his, or do you reckon it was...
must have been him. Which producer would have been you'd be a great fit for that?
Hey, I've read your script, and you know what I kept thinking? Oh, you would be terrific in it. You know what I think would be more funny? Is if he was playing the critic.
Yeah, I think that'd be
Don't you
so
reckon?
self-aware.
That would be funny. That would be funny. And that'd be self-aware.
Because then it's a bit critics are fun, that's whatever, I'll show them getting killed. Yeah, it's really upsetting.
Yeah. Oh, anyway, do we want to get to the ending of this film?
I think so, yeah. So what happens at the end, Carl?
Everybody slips into their roles, so we find out that the half-strong man is the Guardian?
Yeah, he's the Guardian. He's wearing off the snarf wolf thing.
Paul Giamatti's the healer?
He is. Not the crazy Catwoman. Didn't even talk about her. Don't worry about her.
The Jeffrey Wright's son is the interpreter?
Yes, because he can also do crosswords.
Yeah, and he reads cereal boxes, but he's I read she instead of he. Conflict.
Yeah.
What are the other roles? I don't know.
So you got the Guardians. I don't know, not the Guardians. The witnesses and
who are the witnesses at the end?
The witnesses that old man, the creepy old man.
Oh, chairman,
and then the people that were Paul Giamatti was killing the rat at the start. They were the group.
The Seven Sisters.
Yeah, the Seven Sisters.
Yeah. All right. Whatever. Fuck it. Anyway, then an eagle comes and takes her away.
Yeah.
I liked the fact that it was shot from the point of view of the water. Thought that made it seem less silly and more artfully done. Why is an eagle involved in this? It's the eagle saves them at the end of Lord of the Rings, and so when he was coming up with a fake bedtime story for his kids, he threw that in.
He's oh fuck, I'll figure out the plot.
How do we not know the eagle's not going to take it back to its giant fucking nest and just feed her to the young?
Out. I mean, a mermaid's half a fish. Birds love fish.
Absolutely. I would have loved if a bird came and collected her and he's like, God damn it, that's not an eagle, that's a crow! Run!
Clawing out her fucking fish tail oh God! I'm a healer, but I can't heal this crow.
Why? I thought it was weird that she never hops back in the pool.
She
once she's
does,
out of the
she?
water, she's out of the water. There's a part where she just gets taken by the snug or whatever it is, and she's just letting it happen. Paul Giamatti goes to get her, and it's you're not even fighting for your life. You just let this snug take you.
The film's in slow motion. Paul Giamatti's I'll pick you up and save you. Let's just go. It's really pathetic. Do you think Bryce Dallas Howard has something in a contract like no water? I don't like it.
It flat out read to me like she didn't want to be near water and she didn't want to walk the entire film.
My father directed The Grinch. You would not believe the power that fucking gets you in Hollywood. Don't you fucking even get the water near me.
Any final thoughts before we wrap this up?
No. I'm just confused more than angry. I feel like we've just explained the plot. That's all we've done for this one.
This is like a middle of the road M Night for me. I don't think this is as bad as The Happening or Airbender. There seems to be some more interesting stuff going on, but I genuinely dislike every single character and the plot.
Yeah.
Which, outside of those sorts of things, is just kind of like, well, what are we doing here?
And it is, again, one location. I don't know what. Visually, it was just a bit...
And I don't want to continue to, like, shit on M. Night Shyamalan. I do genuinely love, like, 4 to 5 of his films in his filmography. Or 6, even.
Yeah,
So...
I will say that. It does feel cruel to rag on... Because I feel like he's been the most ragged on director ever.
Absolutely.
Possibly.
And he's made some really good stuff. And people seem to, like, forget it. Like, I think he's ragged on because he is an easy target.
Yeah.
I saw somebody on Twitter point out, they were like, M. Night Shyamalan does some of this odd, stilted dialogue and directing to create something unnerving. And everybody goes, well, that's bad writing, directing, and acting. But when David Lynch does it, everybody's like, well, this is great. And it's like, and I was like, I think that those are two very different directors to, like, compare each other to. But I do think that, there's a lot of really odd things in, say, the new season of Twin Peaks that everybody kind of gave a pass to because it is David Lynch. Whereas I'm like, I think in other respects, a lot of people would point at those singular scenes and go, that's not very well done.
I was very surprised watching... I've only seen, like, a couple of episodes of Twin Peaks, but I was like, oh, when's the bit gonna end of this stilted kind of shitty acting? I didn't realize that's it.
Yeah, it's like meant to be soap opera-like and melodramatic and all these things. And everybody's like, oh, well, this is really cool. And it's like, well, if M. Night does it, it's like, well, you don't fucking understand directing, do you?
Yeah. It is upsetting. I mean, here's the thing: we've dedicated a month to shitting on him, but give him this. He made a film he wanted to make. Don't know why he wanted to make this, but he made it. I think it works for like. Do you get what I mean? It doesn't work.
Like it feels like it is a whole vision. So if you like this, sure, I get it. It doesn't feel like there's been any studio interference or anything like that.
Maybe it's kind of like a not David Lynch, like Mank, kind of just a thing you wanted to do.
Yeah, for sure. You know, at least in between Last Airbender and After Earth, which are two films I think he has absolutely no interest or passion or drive for, I think you can tell that he's more interested in this. Like, this is something he wanted to make and he wanted to tell.
And I'll be honest, this is kind of like the first kind of like, ooh, I don't know, M. Night. Like, pretty much only really the bad ones are The Happening, The Last Airbender, and After Earth. Like, there's only it's like 7 years where he made 4 bad films. Really bad.
Yeah, no, it's the fact that they're like one after another. Yeah. And I get that people have a divide on Signs in the Village, but I think overall they're more on the positive side to a general audience. So, and then he's, been on the rise with Split, Glass was mixed, and The Visit was also pretty positive. And who knows about Old, but like, I always root for the guy.
You liked The Servant, didn't you? You watched that. You liked that, didn't you?
Yes, I think Servant's really good. He's only done a handful of episodes of that, and I think he's the creator of it, but I think Servant's really, really well done. And that has a really good black humor to it that I think those actors in particular work really well with. All right, Oscar, who would watch The Lady in the Water?
You know that kind of, like Spider... Do you ever have, like, people that like the Spiderwick Chronicles? I don't know who like that as a child is. It's kind of a weird child. I think this is for a weird children. I'll say it right now. That's it. That's all I got. I genuinely am a bit like, not that it doesn't have an audience. I'm just more like, as you can tell, we've just explained the point, the plot, and just what that is for this whole thing. So it's more confusing.
Well,
if you like a Sudoku, you're gonna like this.
Well, I read that this was the first time Paul Giamatti had ever been paid nearly $1 million for a project.
Oh, go!
Like,
well,
I know, so good
happy.
for him. But it's also like, well, clearly he's not right for this demographic if it's not what he usually works in. As for me, who do I think this is for? I guess Bryce Dallas Howard fans. Paul Giamatti fans. I guess it's for Paul Giamatti fans. There's a lot of Paul Giamatti, and I think he's fine.
Yeah, I like Paul Giamatti. I recently watched Sideways. That's not my
Oh, he's
palate
great
cleanser.
in Sideways.
He's so
great
much
in
fun.
Sideways. All right, Oscar, palate cleanser.
I watched Brittany Runs a Marathon. Do you remember this one? It came out like kind of like a year or 2 years ago again. I think it's an Amazon original.
I did. I saw this. It's Australian premiere at the Sydney Film Festival.
Oh, very cool. Well, what did you think about it? It's straight from the
I thought it could have been better.
I was pretty upset. Like I think the start.
It starts
terrific.
really strong. Yeah.
I think, it starts off with like this girl in like her late 20s, like dealing with her weight. I think it's got like quite a nuanced opinion of it. It's like, listen, you have to sort of like sort yourself out. She's kind of in a broken place. And then it just breaks down. It's just like there's too many characters by the end. The message gets very muddied because she gets like a setback. And then she like self-sabotages, but not really in a believable way. She starts calling people fat. It's really a shame because I think that first like half an hour, that setup is like amazing.
Yeah, and she's really good in it.
I think.
Too.
Oh my god,
she's great in it.
What's the actress's name?
Julian Bell, is it? Julian Bell?
Yes, I think she was hilarious, and yeah, she just nailed it, and she kept me going for the whole time. I don't think I could have done it with another actress.
For sure. Yeah, I think it's a shame because it does start really strong, and I think all of the sequences in which like how it feels to be called like obese by a doctor and things like that. And I also love the messaging that it's like anybody can try and run a marathon or do something that they consider like you could change your habits very quickly.
Yeah, it's like it's got it good, but then it just by the end
it doesn't stay consistent, and then I think it has like this mum character going through a divorce, and the gay character, I can't remember what he was doing, and then it's got
he was doing.
She's
for his
house
son.
sitting. Yeah, then she's house sitting.
Yeah,
with a
she
guy,
has like a boy
and
who's a kind of a boyfriend, but not really.
I also like him in it, and I think he's underutilized in it. I think they play off each other really well comedically. But yeah, I think it starts really strong and peters out.
Yeah, so that was upsetting, but it was alright. Carl, what did you watch?
I've been watching the Fear Street trilogy on Netflix.
Oh,
you know this?
I've seen all the posters. The posters look great.
Concept-wise, isn't it cool to do like a movie a week that's a trilogy, and it's like the history of it goes back in time?
That is cool.
So the first one's like...
go
So
give us a
the first
brief
one's
thing.
like 1994, the second one is like 1970-something, and then the third one's 1666.
Yeah.
And it's like the history of why all this horrible stuff is happening in the town, going back in time. And it does, like, the first one's supposed to be like your 90s slasher. The second one is your like campy, fun 70s horror. And then the last one is like your folk horror. So they're all kind of the different levels of like horror you can have. And they're just really fun, well shot, well directed, good times.
Oh, brilliant.
And yeah, I think like they're all like pretty standard, but collectively as a whole, concept wise and everything, you're like, it's fun and clever and different, even though it's not really doing anything new. Yeah, it was just something to look forward to every Friday during this lockdown, to be honest. I look forward to this coming out, and I was like, give me more. And they're so violent, and they have so much good like practical blood and gore and CGI blood and gore. And then they also have really likable characters. And you're like, well, they're not going to kill off this character. And then they'll get murdered so horrifically that it's just like, oh my god, that's actually, that's hurt me a little bit. Seeing a character I really like getting like brutally like put through like a bread slicer or something like that.
Fucking hell.
And you know who's in it is the boy who's like the killer in Woman in the Window. And he's really good. He's really good in these. So it just makes me think that he was just used. He was just really misguided by the director and the writing in that film. He's really good in these. All right, Oscar, what are we reviewing next week?
Next week, we are finishing off M. Night's month, and we're doing After Earth. We're going to tear Will Smith a new one, let me tell you. No
and
one bullies
Jaden.
our boy. Oh,
and
yes.
Jaden.
Someone's getting their asshole ripped, and let me tell you, it's the Smith family.
Damn straight. I'm going to be on the defensive from M. Night Shyamalan, but I'm coming for you Smiths out there.
Yep,
you hurt my boy.
Blow him a new one, let me tell you that now. I'll say this real quickly. Did you see Will Smith, like on TikTok, like, was out of shape with his body? Did you see that?
No.
I want to kill myself. He was like, oh, I've really packed it on, had the same body as me, and I want to kill myself. I was like, fuck you, you piece of shit.
You have the same body as like a 50-year-old actor.
Past his prime and unhappy. I was like, fine, I'll work out, but I don't have a group of fucking 20 people.
Like, I'll watch Britney runs a marathon. Maybe that'll inspire me.
I'll pause at the 40-minute mark and then go on a jog. That's what I do.
All right. Thank you for listening.
Thank you. All right. Goodbye.